Broadcasts of Hiki No are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo. And by Bank of Hawaii Foundation, investing in Hawaii's future by promoting collaboration, critical thinking, and other 21st century skills through Hiki No. Kamehameha Schools, empowering Hawaiian keiki to explore, discover, and inspire. ABC Stores, a local company helping to transform education and develop Hawaii's workforce through bold learning initiatives like Hiki No.
Hiki No, Hawaii's new wave of storytellers.
Aloha, and welcome to this week's episode of Hiki No, Hawaii's new wave of storytellers. I'm Christian Aragon, a senior at Konawana High School here on Hawaii Island, speaking to you from my home in Kailua Kona. In this edition of Hiki No, we'll see how Hawaii students are managing life and school during the COVID-19 era in our continuing series of student reflections. We'll visit a Kauai beauty salon that had to close its doors during the lockdown last spring, and is now adjusting to a new way of doing business. We'll continue our Hiki No 10th anniversary celebration by looking back at some of the top stories from the program's first decade. And we'll meet a Hiki No alum who set the bar for covering controversial topics with fairness and objectivity. But first, here is my student reflection on life so far in this school year of distance learning. I recorded it on October 25th, 2020. I have two goals this year. One, I want to graduate high school. That's it. Two, I also want to improve my performing arts skills so I can study acting in a university or a community college. COVID-19 has forced me to find new and unexpected ways of achieving these goals. For school, I'm really working on my time management so I can fit different activities into my schedule. Even though I'm at home, I'm still working with my community theater group over the computer. It's challenging because we can't meet on a physical stage, and I can't share my energy with the cast. So, we make those connections through improv exercises instead. I was also invited to promote some of my previous theater shows on the radio, where I voiced different characters, and right now, I'm reading scary stories. Woo! Anyways, I'm grateful that persevering through high school and theater has opened these doors for me. All these challenges have shown me that my goals are just stepping stones for something much greater. And I cannot wait to see what comes next. Now from Kauai High School in Lehue, here is a story about a local beauty salon that had to close its doors during last spring's lockdown, and has since reopened with a new way of doing business.
Okay, I agree. Okay, hold tight, tight, tight. I think just the unknown of not knowing when we would be able to reopen or know if we would even survive during this time.
For Brittany Fujioka, spring 2020 was a season of uncertainty. She had to close her salon, Beauty Bay, on the southeast side of Kauai, as part of a statewide shutdown to help prevent the spread of COVID-19.
March 22nd, we're ordered to close here on the island. All non-essential businesses, including our salon and spa, was deemed non-essential, so we all had to close our doors.
Managing a business with no customers was stressful. Brittany feared she'd have to close for good and let down her team, their families, and her own family.
It was us being out of work for a total of 2 months and still being able to, how are we going to afford to pay the rent, to stay alive, and still keep our business able to open when we are able to come back to work.
Hawaii allowed non-essential businesses like the salon to reopen in May, but with the new rules.
Things were like social distancing, having that 6 feet apart, also having to wear a face mask, whether it be like a disposable one or a cloth. And then also we do intake forms as well. So we do client intake forms for everybody entering the building. We also do temperature checks at the door, which we keep record of as well. And then we have our dividers in between stations that are closer together, less than 6 feet apart, just to be able to maintain the social distancing.
Even though the salon is open, it can't accept as many clients as before.
Yeah, I could apply someone's color and then I could take a haircut or wax or something in between while that guest is processing. We're no longer able to do that, so we're only, our time is more valuable now because we're just one-on-one with the guest.
Despite the challenges, Brittany maintains a bright mindset about the situation.
We just try to look at it as a positive and more on the glasses half full kind of perspective. So for us, we're just taking it day by day. We've been just every day practicing everything that we're required to and just kind of going that extra step, making sure everything's cleaned.
Brittany's happy and grateful to continue spreading smiles through beauty, even if the smiles look a little different nowadays.
You look cute.
This is Taika Jihara from Kauai High School for Hikino.
This is Ella Anderson, a sophomore from Kapa'a High School on Kauai. I am filming this at my home on October 22nd, 2020. When coronavirus first hit, I did not want to stay at home. Each day I couldn't see my friends seemed like a day wasted. Both my parents still went to work, so it was usually just me and my 11-year-old brother. It's sad for me to say now, but before COVID we weren't really that close. I would lose my patience and get mad at him all the time for giving me attitude and not doing as I asked, which seems normal, but it was happening a lot more than I would have liked, and I never really made an effort to do anything about it. Things started to change when I began to help him learn from home. Of course, we had a rough start, but each time I wanted to give in to my frustration and just yell at him, I took a deep breath, kept a smile on my face, and continued trying to help out. Slowly but surely, there were less arguments, less "go away, I hate you," and more respect and understanding on both sides. It seems so obvious that this is what a good sister should be, and I can't believe I couldn't see it for so long. This journey made me realize that change starts with me first, before I can expect it from anyone else.
And now, in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of Hikino, coming up in February of 2021, here's the third in a series of profiles on outstanding Hikino alumni.
So the school I went to was Ko'okala Milali'i Pu'u Virtual Academy, and it's a virtual program that's based in Puna, and it has bases outside of the Puna school. And one of those bases was in Miloli'i. Miloli'i is a fishing village on the south end coast of the Big Island. When everyone came down from Hikino and we started learning everything from them, and they started mentoring us in how to make certain shots, how to scope out an area for a shot. It was all very, very foreign to me because it was my first time in an actual production. I've always wanted to make content, and that was one of the biggest motivators for me. Is there's an opportunity to be creative and tell a story and write stories that other people can see. And I thought, wow, I really, really, really like this, and I want to continue to do this with Hikino. My Hikino story on Mauna Kea, the spark for it, started when I went to the groundbreaking ceremony for the TMT, and I saw the protests that had initially happened. The dignitaries who were funding the telescope and the people who were protesting telescope were walking together away from the groundbreaking ceremony. They were walking together, and they were talking. And I overheard some of the conversations that they had, and I thought to myself, I was like, wait a minute, this is a lot more complex than I think it is, and I want to know more about it as well.
It was a huge issue, a lot of passion, a lot of different sides, and for Hoku to take it on, it was a little daunting for me, actually.
I love science and technology, and I'm actively involved in web design and computer technology. I'm also Hawaiian. I respect my culture and its values.
The reason why I took it from a Native Hawaiian student, but also a student of science approach, a lover of science, was because I wanted to go into it as someone who just wanted to know more, to investigate, to look at everything.
So what I loved about working with Hoku and actually found really inspiring myself was how motivated and how passionate he was. You know, it's a lot to ask of anyone to go out and spend hours and hours and hours speaking to 6, 7, 8, 9 different people about a very emotional subject. And Hoku took it upon himself to really reach out to those people and to call, you know, the mayor he's never met before.
I believe celestial navigation, astronomy, is a sacred science.
And the whole word that we were thinking of when we were working together with Christy was just being as objective as possible and keeping the balanced story. And that stayed true into the editing all up until the end when we eventually recorded it, is that I couldn't take a side, and that, you know, this whole story is something that it's too complex, and taking a side wouldn't do it justice, because it's something that happens from all perspectives.
I'm still torn. I want to preserve the places that mean so much to my cultural heritage, but I also see that the project will bring new understanding of our universe and provide educational opportunities to students in Hawaii. I hope to revisit this in 10 years' time and see for myself if TMT does in fact keep their commitments, both to help expand our knowledge of the universe and to be respectful stewards of our cultural sites.
5 years after the story had been taking place, I'm still neutral about it, and that's because I continue to see different sides for the story popping up left and right.
I really, really appreciate the story so much more having watched it a year later and even several years later. And it's a piece I think that holds up over time and actually gets better over time, for me, for sure.
Hi, my name's Nalea Uda, an 8th grader from Kealakekua Intermediate School on the island of Hawaii, coming to you from my home on November 2nd, 2020. I've been attending online school from home with a class of 6, or with all my siblings. All of us ranging from the ages 5 to 14, which is me, the oldest. Then there's the youngest one, who is Lelia. Then there's Lalehua, Naoli, Leani, and Nahana, who had recently just turned 11. It could be great at some points with all 6 of us learning in a classroom, but chaotic at best. In order for you to get the spot you want, you have to fight for it. And if you don't get your way, then you have a bunch of arguing going on. We tend to get in each other's way to figure out whose turn it is to speak or not, or to attend a meeting. And when we do, the room sounds like a bunch of annoying parrots all talking at once. But despite all of that chaos, the bonding has caused me to learn things that I didn't expect. Like fixing a truck, learning to cook, and even teaching my siblings how to shoot and film broadcasts and other short films. It's pushed me to go above and beyond, to be like a second mom. As children, we think parents are supposed to know everything and have all the answers all the time, but not always. It makes me proud to know that we don't always have to turn to our parents to figure things out. We can figure them out on our own too, and we get to teach them a thing or two, like learning how to use new applications and technologies. Continuing our celebration of 10 years of Hikino, here's a story from Maui Waina Intermediate School in Kahului. That was one of the first to tackle the sensitive topic of students with body image issues.
Casey Arase is an 11-year-old at Maui Waina Intermediate School. From the outside, she seems to have a perfect life.
Summarizing that paragraph, it says that he asked...
Casey is an extremely hard worker, puts in a lot of time, as I understand it, both in the classroom and on the field. She's the first one here, the last one to leave, and so she's a great example for everyone around her.
Everyone views Casey as a healthy, normal 6th grade girl. But when Casey looks in the mirror, she sees something else.
Well, I remembered
When I was little, I used to always love Disney princesses and how they used to be so skinny. So when I found out when I was old enough to look in the mirror and see I'm not like them, it made me realize that I think I'm fat.
Basically, girls who think they're fat when they're not is based around their body image. And typically that means that they have a poor body image. And our body image is how we perceive our bodies. It's something that's psychological. It's not necessarily based on facts.
Well, I know I should be thinking that a beautiful girl is nice, sweet, kind, but my image of a beautiful girl is skinny, pretty, small. And that girl is just not me.
Even with her busy life and many accomplishments, Casey is still hindered by her self-image.
Well, I'm not as confident. It makes me feel more shy or bashful because, I'm scared of what people might think about me.
Because of how female beauty is depicted in advertising and the media, many girls find it difficult to reconcile what they think they should be with who they are.
Sometimes, yeah, I feel like I have to be perfect.
And we're seeing images of women that have this unachievable body. 5'11" and 117 pounds, whereas the average woman is about 5'4" and 140 pounds. And only about 1% of the female population is even capable of achieving a model type figure. So we're trying to achieve something that's totally impossible.
Faced with the problem of achieving the impossible, how should we respond?
I honestly don't know. I try to every day figure that out, but I just can't.
There's a lot of really good websites out there with a lot of really good information and, chat rooms and stuff like that. And if you do feel like yours is a more serious problem, definitely do go seek help from the grade level counselor or talk to your parents about it and seek counseling outside of school.
Today, Casey may not know how to solve the problem, but hopefully in the future, she will be part of the solution. This is Gail Tolentino from Maui Waina Intermediate School, reporting for Hikino.
Aloha, this is Alexa Vinarao, an 8th grade student at Aʻiumanu Middle School on Oahu. I'm recording this from my home on October 26, 2020. In my opinion, distance learning isn't as bad as it may seem. There's going to be a lot of change in life, and this is just a part of it. Distance learning is similar to face-to-face learning. Students just need time to grow accustomed to it. You still see your teachers, and you still get homework. Not much of a change. It's like the first day of school. You might get lost, but eventually you'll get used to it. Virtual classes are easily accessible. Just grab a working device and get to class. No need to wear your uniform, walk to school, or prepare much at all. Plus, you can change your learning space to your every need. Most classes before distance learning were just online websites anyway, so I'm used to it. In conclusion, distance learning has many advantages, and you should give it the chance to show how amazing it can be.
As we continue our look back at 10 years of Hiki No, here's a story from Waianae High School on Oahu that was one of the first to explore a mental health issue affecting many students' grandparents.
You just think about what if she tries to make breakfast and she leaves the stove on and the house burns down? Or she overdoses and she can't get to her phone and she's paralyzed on the ground.
Send a check to A7147 St. John's Road.
Hey, you remember our address?
It's a small victory for Edith Domingo
Where are you going? That's not to your room.
in a battle that she's losing every day.
At first it was funny because all the BP would just laugh and tease, but then kind of gets on your nerves after a while.
Why are you stealing my...
Edith is always up to something.
What do you usually do when we're not home?
I watch TV and I eat and I eat. And I read and I read.
And she laughs, and she laughs.
Go ahead.
But the one thing she can't do
What did you eat at the spaghetti factory?
is remember.
Edith is one of 5 million people in the United States with dementia, a disease which causes a gradual loss of brain function. So even remembering her favorite grandchild isn't always easy to swallow.
Grandma, you took your pills?
Reminding her doesn't always get an answer, but the Domingos can still see the effect dementia is having on her.
I don't remember.
It's a really difficult situation for families when they have loved ones that have dementia, and even the individual may not realize, that they're not able to do as much as they used to do.
I think she gets frustrated, and some of it she gets scared. She frowns a lot nowadays. She just frowns.
This fear and frustration has caused Edith to hurt those closest to her.
She would just want to just fight and argue with Brina. I think she punched her a couple of times. It was that bad.
But no matter how bad it's gotten, Brina has always been by her grandmother's side.
Yeah, I'm your favorite, yeah, Grandma.
With open arms and more than one way to solve a problem.
You're constantly repeating yourself, and it gets so draining and so exhausting that you just want to write it on a Post-it and stick it on her forehead, but you can't. Single scoop in the cake cone.
The Domingos are known for their creative solutions.
You want Cherries Jubilee, you said already.
Which are helpful when trying to ensure that Edith is in good hands.
I try to juggle time at home between schoolwork and helping Grandma. I love her. She took care of me when I was growing up. So now the roles are reversed.
It freaks me out sometimes. I would like to have someone home all the time to watch her, but you can't have that, so we just hope and we pray.
And
Lamb sauce.
they help her win as many of these small battles as they possibly can.
She's my mommy. She's my mom. Gotta take care, yeah. She's family, yeah.
This is Tressa Hoppy from Waianae High School, reporting for Hiki No.
This is Kara Jerson, an 8th grader at Highlands Intermediate. I am filming this from my home on October 29th, 2020. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, I believe everyone has learned some life lessons. For me, distance learning has been a struggle since I'm not able to be in a real classroom interacting with my peers. I've been thinking during this time that life won't be able to go back to the way it was before the coronavirus. A few months into the quarantine, my family and I had a virtual get-together. All my extended family were there. Uncles, aunties, grandparents, cousins. It had been the first time we had all seen each other in 3 months. I was very nervous and excited seeing everybody for the first time in a while. And once everybody was in the virtual meet, having a good time, talking story, it was a very special moment. Even though we couldn't be together face to face, it was still a very good time, and we made the best of it. Now that restrictions have eased, we are able to visit each other in person, but for the family that we can't visit, we still make it a point to talk on the phone. I'm very thankful my family was there for each other during that rough time, and that they still are there for each other now. Now, as part of our celebration of the upcoming 10th anniversary of Hiki No, let's take a look at a story from Island School on Kauai. Dating back to January of 2013, it's one of the first Hiki No stories to deal with a near tragedy that sets a person's life on a completely different course.
I started paddling when I was 12 and sort of just slipped deeper and deeper into it till about the time I was 18 or 17. I was really putting all of my time into it. And for about a 5-year period, I was training probably, up to 20 hours a week. And that's like time on the water, not including commute and all of that. So my life was really focused around paddling.
On October 10th, 2010, Luke Eslin's life was almost taken from him when the propeller of his escort boat tore through his back during the championship race between Molokai and Oahu.
After I got onto the boat and I was lying there on my back, thinking that I was bleeding to death or paralyzed or that my stomach had been ripped out of my body, that's when, your mind is going through a lot of stuff. And to me, that was sort of my transformative moment with those 45 minutes. And I would say the most without a doubt, the most transformative 45 minutes of my life. So yeah, up until the accident, you know, my life plan was pretty clear. You know, I was at a business building canoes, and I wanted to be, you know, one of the best paddlers in the world, and that's the direction I was going in. You know, something that I've sort of learned through this accident, you know, is this desire for more, you know, is that we don't always need more.
Since the accident, Luke has focused on giving back to the environment through his off-the-grid sustainable farm.
We have a piece of property, you know, and the goal is basically to reduce inputs or eliminate inputs is the ultimate goal, and also outputs, you know. So every time we have a river that we have to cross to get to our property. So for me, that's like the barrier line. It's pretty obvious when I'm carrying something into that or carrying it out of that, you know. So normally in a property, you know, you're taking food in and taking trash out. So I'm trying to minimize that, you know. So we produce our own electricity with photovoltaic panels. We catch our own water, so there's no pipes or anything connecting us to the outside world. We have a really good existence right now where we're living. You know, we have 6 solar panels, which produces very little electricity, you know, and it means we can't, you know, turn our TV on at night if it hasn't been sunny, or we can't wash our clothes, you know, unless it's beaming hot out. So, but that's fine with us, you know, and it makes us live with what we have. And that sort of concept I've really applied to the rest of my life, and especially our business, you know, and this idea of it's good where it's at, you know, and let's perfect this.
Although still very involved in his business, Kamanu Composites, Luke Eslin has been able to find a balance between his career-driven lifestyle and his desire to reduce his impact on the planet. This is Gabriel Figueroa from Island School on Kauai, reporting for Hiki No.
Thank you for watching this episode of Hiki No. Be sure to join us next week for more student reflections on school and life as we learn to navigate our way through the new normal. Plus, we'll continue our look back at 10 years of Hiki No, Hawaii's new wave of storytellers.
Broadcasts of Hiki No are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo. And by Bank of Hawaii Foundation, investing in Hawaii's future by promoting collaboration, critical thinking, and other 21st century skills through Hiki No. Kamehameha Schools, empowering Hawaiian keiki to explore, discover, and inspire. ABC Stores, a local company helping to transform education and develop Hawaii's workforce through bold learning initiatives like Hiki No.